night, wherever you happen to be, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary folks, guinea pigs, and elephants around the world. I know guinea pigs tune into this channel because a lot of people with guinea pigs have them tune into channels that allow them to just relax to the sound of a soothing voice. Guinea pigs are animals that I think are pretty cool, although yesterday I saw a video of a woman who had a fear of animals get defeated by a guinea pig. Her anxiety, unfortunately, did not allow her to even approach and pet the guinea pig, who just looked at it and started shaking, and I felt bad for both her and the guinea pig, because the guinea pig was just looking at her like, the fuck did I do? And the guinea pig was rather trusting of humans, which is pretty cool, because it was at a zoo. Guinea pigs being trusting of humans is something that I think is awesome. There are a number of prey animals that actually trust us. Guinea pigs, hamsters, most rodents actually. Rats, mice. Obviously, it requires us to do things that we do to domesticate them, and unfortunately, many rodents actually end up being used in scientific studies. I just saw a squirrel on the roof of the neighbor's garage. Squirrels, I believe, are technically rodents. I'm not 100% sure. But what I do know is that squirrels are cool, but sometimes squirrels don't really like hanging out near where I am, just due to the fact that I have a dog, and the dog likes to chase them. And thankfully, she's never actually gone on and caught one, because if she did, it wouldn't be great, but yeah. Hopefully the microphone is working better at this point. I cleaned out the microphone jacks with paper towel, Q-tip, and toothpick, which was what was recommended by Ashurian. It is 79 degrees outside with some light wind, barely feel it, but you can see that there's wind with the trees moving, which is kind of cool. Other than that, not much going on other than me waiting. Other than me waiting for some Amazon packages, and they should be here now, but it looks like, despite the vehicle being stopped 2 stops away, that they may have had a large order at the last stop, or it may have been something like an apartment building or something of that nature. And when that happens, sometimes a driver can be stopped for a while, and obviously, but it said between 1 and 4 p.m. At a 2 p.m. arrival on a 1 to 4 p.m. is actually really good, really good, and I thoroughly think that Amazon has been doing a pretty good job at getting deliveries out at a reasonable time, but also, unfortunately, sometimes that does come at the expense of the workers' health and safety, and I wish that Amazon would hire either more workers, maybe have 1 as a driver and 2 driver helpers on the vehicle, so that way they can actually have some improvement. Something like they do with the garbage trucks, where there's multiple people who are on the vehicle, several people who go ahead and take and put the garbage in the truck, 1 person who drives. I think that teamwork absolutely helps. But with Amazon, it's the driver, and they drive around, and they go drop things off at people's houses. And then, of course, you have Amazon Flex, where you can just go get some things from the warehouse, throw them in your car, and just drive them to the place, which is a whole other thing. Not 100% sure how that works, but I don't like it. There's not been much going on in terms of in terms of an idea of me doing that. There hasn't really been any opportunities for it because we're a larger city, so we have the large companies, and they sign people up for Amazon Flex through them, and then they give them the vehicle, and it's this whole thing. I don't fully understand how it works, but it's kind of silly. There is a spider hanging off the grill. That's intriguing. That is very, very intriguing, and I don't know why that's happening, but that's where the spider has decided that that's where it wants to make its web and everything. I don't fully understand why spiders exist, but that's okay. They don't understand why we exist. I am super excited about today's Amazon packages because it's 5 packages of grape Propel, and a video camera with some accessories for it. And the video camera, I think, is going to be awesome for me to have. I'm going to be bringing it to school on the days that I go to school, filming things with it. off campus, on campus, all over. I'm also planning on buying a DSLR at some point in the future. I'm not 100% sure when that'll happen. I have a DSLR now. It's a Nikon D3100. I am thinking about buying the D850 or the D6, but the D6 is $7,000, and I don't have $7,000. So yeah, that's probably going to be a no. We don't really need to spend $7,000 we don't have. But yeah, $7,000 we don't have is not going to be a good thing to do, so we're not doing that. But if somebody ever bought me one, I'd be like, thank you, and then I'd go take a bunch of pictures. Probably the first thing I'd do is go to New York City and do photography there. I know a lot of people in New York City are in a hurry, so I don't know how they interact with tourists and everything, but it would be interesting to see. Take the DSLR, take the video camera, all that stuff, act like a tourist, because I would be a tourist. Keeping you in check. I'll be your idol. Contracting out Amazon Flex workers and nullifying the Flex part sounds particularly dystopian. Yeah, it does. I had an interview once for one of these companies, and they were like, so yeah, we give you this phone, you download, there's this app on it, you log in with your Amazon account, and then you just go drive, and it tells you where to go. And I was like, huh? And they were like, you can have daily pay and all this stuff, and it's 10 hours, but your 10 hours doesn't start till your truck's loaded, and I was just like, what? They were going to pay $20 an hour, so $200 a day, so $1,000 well, no, you were going to work 4 days, so 4 tens, but still, $800 a week, which is basically what FedEx pays too. Kind of the same thing. UPS pays a lot more here. UPS pays like package handlers like $21.95, but I am physically incapable of doing that job due to my injuries and the way my spine is. We actually may be finding out I have more problems than I thought. Currently being investigated for some orthopedic causes of nerve pain, as well as some neurologic causes of nerve pain. So I see neurology in about 5 weeks, and I see orthopedics on Monday. And orthopedics is going to review a spine MRI with me, a lumbar spine MRI. I may end up having to get a full spine MRI. I had a cervical spine CAT scan the other day, but that was totally different. That was because I had a motor vehicle accident where the bus I was on T-boned a guy who ran a stop sign. I don't understand why people keep trying to fight the bus. You will lose. Unless you're like another bus, or if you're another bus, you're both going to lose. If you're a car, you will lose. You will just lose. Delivery is such an interesting job. You're basically accepting. You'll be bitten by a dog in a couple years. You'll be bitten by a dog. You might get shot. I've heard stories of people looking at delivery drivers and just being like, "Get off my property," and then shooting them, and then wondering why their package didn't show up. And it's like, what? Did that bird just crash into my fence and get hurt? Hi, bird. Hi, birdie. There's a bird right over there, and I'm kind of just really intrigued by it. Hello. I don't know if you saw that. It almost hit me in the face. That would have been really funny. I would have been like, what do I do? I don't know what to do when a bird hits you in the face. I've never had that happen. But apparently the bird was comfortable enough to just fly right by my face that I wasn't going to grab it and eat it. Although, then again, Pokemon type matchups. Fighting is weak to flying. And if you've ever tried to fight a bird, you understand why. The bird will whoop your ass. Especially if it's like a freaking Canada goose. They will take your sandwich and then whoop your ass about it. And all you want is your sandwich back. And you're just sitting there like, dude, I just wanted my sandwich. What are you doing? And then they're like, then they start hissing at you and screaming at you. No, a bird was hunting and it almost hit me in the head. And then there was another time I was eating a sandwich and a fucking Canada goose stole it. So I tried to get it back and it whooped my ass. And I was not happy about it. And of course, I couldn't call anybody and be like, "Hello, 911, a bird whooped my ass." What's 911 going to do about it? I could be like, "Okay, a bird whooped your ass. What do you want me to do about it? You want me to go shoot it?" And then I'd be like, "Well, it's a Canada goose, so you can't. It's illegal to do that." I just wanted the sandwich back. I was just trying to go up and get the sandwich back, and it whooped my ass. I was just like, I'm never dealing with this again. And now, like, I keep my distance from the Canada geese on campus because they are ridiculous and they need to be just respected. Canada geese, just you gotta respect them, otherwise they will have massive problems with you, and they will attack you, and it will not be fun, and you will not have a good day, and you will just be like, why did I let this happen? Why am I anywhere near these stupid fuckers? And you will just have a bad day. So just keep your distance and respect the Canada geese. Because yeah, it's too much to deal with it. Um, but yeah, anyway, going back to deliveries, like pizza delivery, you might get into an accident, you might get bit by a dog, you might get shot, you might get a million different things might happen because delivery is one of those jobs where there is a high risk, and it's not just regular deliveries. It's long haul deliveries, it's final mile deliveries, it's pizza delivery drivers, all of that. Every single person has, especially that risk of the driving. Um, Especially lately, have you seen the way the roads have been? People have just not been respectful on the roads, and I do not understand the way things are going. It almost feels like the way that the roads are is almost indicative of a societal collapse, and that is a major problem. I try to keep my distance away from everybody on the road. Oh, that felt good when I'm driving, so that way people who are just deciding that they want to be assholes, they can just go and handle it, and I can just react to situations, and if I need to move over, I move over, and if I need to get into a different lane, I get into a different lane, and it's so much better, so much less stressful, so good, and it helps with everything that happens because every time you just sit there thinking like, oh, I might get into an accident, obviously thinking that you're going to get into an accident makes it so that you might get into an accident, but thinking that I can prevent an accident says, oh, I'm going to just pay attention, I'm going to look around, blah, 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 blah. Uh, but a lot of times delivery drivers, all the way from pizza delivery guys all the way up to the big guys in big rigs, they got schedules to maintain, they got metrics to make, they got money to make. Like the truck drivers get paid by the mile, so like the more miles they run, the better they go. So if the speed limit is 65, they can go 65 miles in an hour. So if they get $1 a mile, they're making $65 an hour. But if they can increase that to 70, now they're making 70 an hour. At 75, they're making 75 an hour. At 80, they're making 80 an hour. I know there's some places. There's one place in Texas where I think the speed limit's 85, which is just wild. Even a car at that point takes like 2 football fields to stop, and does not work very well because obviously you got perception time, reaction time, braking time, but then when you got a semi truck, you've got that extra thing, the lag time, because air brakes take about an extra half second. And if you're going 85 miles an hour with a pickup truck or with a semi truck, and you have to slam on the brakes, it ain't going to be pretty for anybody involved. And nobody's going to want to deal with that cleanup, especially if it's like a tanker. Tankers can have some dangerous stuff. Why are the cicadas out? They're aggravating me. We have any more plagues of Egypt that you want to send on me? Really interested in having any plagues of Egypt? I mean, I know they were locusts, not cicadas, but I really am tired of plagues of Egypt just happening. There's so many plagues of Egypt. There was the toads, the boils, the firstborn son. Passover is an interesting story. Remember, Easter is generally is always the Sunday after Passover, or the Sunday of Passover, and Good Friday is the same as Passover, which is interesting that Good Friday starts at a different time because Passover technically starts that Thursday night, and that's when Christianity celebrates the Last Supper of Jesus, and is then the 12 apostles, not the disciples. So like Paul replaced Judas, which is kind of cool. The Apostle Paul. um, Paul is in Acts of the Apostles, so yes, Paul is an apostle. Paul and Peter, Saints Peter and Paul. You've got a lot of Saint Peter and Saint Paul churches around, which I think is pretty cool that happened. If I could see a debate between any two historical figures, it would be Peter and Paul. High speed limit in Texas, but it truly felt like I was the only one on the highway. It's just a big stretch of unpopulated desert. Oh, nice. Yeah, if it's an stretch of unpopulated desert, then you got the other issue with those stupid animals who are just like, there's nobody coming, and then they can't perceive you coming from, well, at 85 miles an hour, you're going a mile in what? That's 25 miles an hour over 60. You're going a mile in like 40 seconds? Well, no, if you're going 61, a mile in 59 seconds, so you're going a mile in 35 seconds. No, you're not. Yeah, you are, because at 90, you'd be going a mile in 30 seconds. At 120, you're going a mile in 15 seconds? No, at 60, you're going a mile a minute. At 90, you're going a mile in 30 seconds. No, at 120, you're going a mile in 30 seconds. Yeah, because a 45-second flat for 2.5 miles is 200 miles an hour. The math there was weird. Well, at 61 miles an hour, you cut off 1 second, so obviously it's per mile. Oh no, you cut off half a second per mile an hour. It's half a second per mile an hour. Because if you go 30, you're going a mile in 2 minutes, and then 60. So then it mile in a minute, and then when you add another 30, no. I'm gonna have to do the actual math on this, because that's weird. That's the whole thing. But it sounds like my packages are here. So enjoy the incident at Antioch. I don't know which one that is, but that sounds interesting. There's been a lot going on talking about that truck driver in Florida recently, where he made that illegal U-turn, crashed, killed a family of 3 or 5, and then people are making a big deal of his immigration status and his ability to speak English. And obviously, with the current culture, it's difficult to make a big deal out of somebody's immigration status and making a job and trying to make money for yourself. But there's been rules in place for years that said that you have to speak English and you have to be a citizen in order to obtain a CDL. There's certain exceptions about the CDL where you can be a non-citizen and obtain it, and obviously we have reciprocity with Canada and Mexico. And if there's somebody with a CDL in Canada or Mexico comes into the United States, their CDL is good as long as they can speak English. And if they're from Mexico, English and Spanish. If they're from Canada, English and French, because that's important in those particular countries. But with him, I guess I'm not 100% sure what happened with that, but apparently Washington State gave him a CDL, and then California got because CDLs are supposed to be federal, so really it's just, you check the federal database, it says the CDL is good, you give him the one. And then apparently he failed a roadside English language proficiency exam. And the thing about that is English language proficiency might not mean that you're not from America. It might just mean you're illiterate. Especially right now, where we've got a lot of people in America who are functionally illiterate, where people don't know what's going on. People can't tell the difference between satire and real news. People can't tell the difference between facts and opinion, all sorts of stuff. And it's really unfortunate. But it sounds like my packages are here, so I am going to head inside and check those out. Yeah, yeah, you need to know how to drive the big rigs and read.